This month's Convene cover story in CMP series is about dietary restrictions. 94% of respondents to a survey said they have seen an increase in the number of specific dietary requests. So we are joined now by Michelle Russell, Editor-in-Chief. And Michelle, these numbers can be kind of frustrating for meeting professionals, right?
Sure. Not only have 94% seen an increase, but 8% said they have seen explosive growth. So what they told us is that they're happy to accommodate medical requirements or religious requirements, but what's frustrating are the numbers of lifestyle preferences and people who show up on site and decide that maybe their neighbor has a more interesting vegetarian meal, so they're going to order now a vegetarian meal. And those are things that are very difficult for meeting professionals to control.
Absolutely. And I know in addition to the survey, you all wrote about some things that can be done, maybe. What kind of advice do you have?
So I'm going to turn it over to Corrine Hirsch. Corrine wrote a story to complement the survey, and she spoke to meeting professionals as well as nutritionists and chefs to find out what's going on and for some really good insights for meeting professionals.
I think one of the main takeaways that I learned talking to meeting professionals for the article is that they're streamlining their registration process. They're asking primarily about allergies and not asking as much about preferences, just to keep things simpler.
So in addition to streamlining registration, what are some other ideas that came up?
Barbara Palmer has a personal experience dealing with dietary restrictions, and she talked about surcharges, which is a little bit of a controversial idea when it comes to special dietary requests.
You know, one of the things that we ask planners is whether they would consider adding a surcharge to account for the extra cost and labor expenses of special meals, and about half said that they didn't want to do that. There was a small number that said yes, and then the rest said it really depends on how it's structured. But when you think about the ADA law, that might not always be legal. There's some instances when you really couldn't do that. So just in looking at some of the planners' responses, someone suggested that maybe what you do is have a surcharge for the people for whom it is a preference, and then they can eat gluten-free, the people who need it for medical reasons. You're not violating ADA, and then everyone's happy.
All right, Michelle, one last question. What's the most common request for attendees overall?
Gluten-free, absolutely.
Makes sense. Things sure are changing over the years, aren't they? All right, Michelle, thanks so much for being with us. And if anybody wants to find out more on this series, be sure to check out pcmaconvene.org. For now, I'm Carrie Farnack with CNTV.